Hi everybody, this is Faisha and thank you for watching Simply Lavish at Home. We are 3 weeks into the new year, so hopefully all of us are still on track with those New Year's resolutions. A lot of people around me have either resolved to eat better or spend more time with friends and family, maybe even a little bit of both. So today I'm going to make a meal that you can serve friends and family, or even a nice meal for yourself that is delicious, is indulgent, but will not break those New Year's resolutions. Check it out. You're working on your New Year's resolutions. It's the middle, winter is cold. Let's start our meal with something warm and delicious. So today I'm gonna make a butternut squash soup with just these few ingredients. You'll see there that I have a butternut squash that I sliced in half, seeded, and roasted in the oven. It's still in its skin because honestly, butternut squash is really a pain to to peel and cut up. So I was feeling a little lazy, just cut in half, stuck it in the 400-degree oven until it was really tender, like your knife or fork slips through really easy. I also roasted one small onion. Again, peeled it, cut it up into large chunks, roasted it off in the oven. Roasting is one of my favorite ways to prepare vegetables because it brings out all of the natural sweetness in it. So there's no need to add anything like brown sugar or maple syrup, which you can to this recipe if you like a little bit more sweetness in it. Also, there is a half a cup of non-fat Greek yogurt and 2 cups of chicken broth that's warmed. I'm using chicken broth. If you want this to be a vegetarian dish, definitely use vegetable broth. And then as I go along, we'll sweeten it, or not sweeten, but to season with salt and pepper and whatever spices you like. Again, this is really flexible depending on what your tastes are. A hint of nutmeg might be good, a little bit of cinnamon, but just depends on what your palate calls for. And for this recipe, you'll also need your blender or immersion blender. I'm gonna use my blender today. So now I'm gonna scoop out the insides of my butternut squash. You see it comes away from the skin really easily. Next, in with your roasted onions. I'm gonna go ahead and pour in some of the broth. I'm gonna pour in about half because I want to be able to control the consistency. So I'm pouring about half, see where it is after that, and then if I need to add more, I can add some more. So now I'm gonna attach my blender base, get that on there secured, put the cover on, and blend away. Now, if this is hot, you're gonna wanna take the top of your blender base off and put a towel over there because you don't want it to be under pressure, because steam will add pressure. This isn't very hot, so I should be okay. So I'm gonna put this back in. But if you take this off, use like a thick towel and put your hand over it so everything doesn't splash out, but this should be okay. So I've let that blend for a bit. You can see, and I'll show you that it's a really thick consistency. Not quite the consistency of soup yet. So I'm gonna add some more of the chicken broth. But before I do that, I'm gonna add the Greek yogurt in. And this just adds like a little bit of tartness and that really creamy consistency that you want out of a butternut squash soup without adding cream. Again, this is no fat, plain Greek yogurt. And I'm gonna let that blend in. So I blended in that Greek yogurt and now I'm gonna add a little bit more of my chicken broth. So I've blended in most of the chicken broth and I like a kind of thick consistency. So I don't know if you can really see how thick that is. But again, do it to the capacity that you like, to the thickness you like. I think I have about a half a cup left. So I used 1.5 cups of chicken broth. Again, use the same broth that you like. So it is really thick. And this is about the point where I need to taste for seasoning. And I'm guessing this probably needs some salt and some pepper. Definitely needs salt. And again, if you're watching your sodium, you don't want to omit salt altogether, but you don't want to go overboard with it either. So I just added a little bit of salt. I use kosher salt. And I'm gonna crack in some fresh black pepper. because I'm nuts and I like heat, I'm gonna go in again with some of those red chili flakes that I use for the pizza and put them in there. I like the sweet hot combination, so I'm just gonna put a few in there. And get this all blended together. And the great thing about this one, it goes straight from your blender right into your bowl. Provided that it's still hot, that is. So you would serve it up just like that. You can garnish this with a little bit of fresh parsley. Serve it up hot and delicious. Who doesn't enjoy pizza? Today I'm going to show you with a few simple fresh ingredients how you can still eat pizza and keep your New Year's resolutions intact. So today I'm going to make a green pizza, and I'm going to start by showing you the fresh ingredients I'm going to use. So here we have some sliced red onions, a cup of frozen spinach, and a cup of chopped broccoli. And I chopped it into really small florets so they can fit nicely on the crust. Definitely season the food first. So in the spinach and in the broccoli, I've seasoned with a little bit of salt and pepper. If you're watching your sodium, just be careful with that. And in the spinach, I also added oregano and parsley and basil, just to add flavor. You definitely want the flavor to hit you as soon as you put the pizza in your mouth. And a lot of people fall short when they're trying to eat healthy by not adding seasonings to your food. It doesn't add any calories or very little calories, no fat, no cholesterol. So season liberally. Now for our store-bought ingredients, the first of which is pesto. Now you can use a regular pizza sauce if you like, but for this one I'm gonna use pesto. And with any pre-packaged or jarred food that you buy at the supermarket, make sure to check your labels. Try to buy things that have as few preservatives and additives as possible. The same with your pasta sauce. Fewer ingredients, the better it is for you. Then we have shredded mozzarella cheese. Now I do shred my own cheese because, again, I like things that have the fewest additives, and pre-shredded cheese often has either a non-clumping agent or cornstarch in it to stop it from clumping together. And for me, that affects the flavor and how the cheese melts. So I always shred my own cheese. So this is part skim mozzarella cheese. And for the whole pizza, I put 4 ounces of cheese. So that's about a serving per person once you break it at 4 people to share. And then I have these. These are amazing. They are a thin crust pizza crust, 100% whole wheat. One serving has about 130 calories, 4 grams of fiber, and 4 grams of protein. And this whole crust, about a third of it is 1 serving. So that breaks up probably about 2 slices. So these are really good. And what I like about these versus other things, they are an actual pizza crust. It doesn't taste like you're substituting a pizza crust with something else. There's another thing that I often use if you want to save a few more calories and add a little more protein and fiber to your diet. They're called flat out flatbreads. I'll put a link to those below so you can get those, but for people who are trying to encourage other people and they're just starting out, this is probably a good way to go because it really does taste like a really good fresh pizza crust. So now we're ready to put it all together. So right now you should have your oven preheating at 425, and you're just gonna take the basil and liberally spread it all over your pizza crust. I usually put about half of the cheese down because I'm gonna wanna put some more over the vegetables. It's really easy. There's no rhyme or reason. You just put the ingredients on like everybody makes pizza. Who doesn't love pizza? And when you're using broccoli, use those stalks too. So I cut them up in little tiny florets, but I also cut the stalks up into little tiny chunks, put those on. And I did kind of pre-cook the broccoli a little bit because, you know, it takes a long time to cook. So I roasted in the oven a little bit. And I always prefer roasting to any other kind of food preparation when it comes to vegetables, because it brings out all like the natural sweetness in them, so they always taste better to me. And then down goes our seasoned spinach and just a few of the red onions. Any kind of onions that you like would be perfect. The same goes with the vegetables. Any kind of vegetable you like. If you want to add mushrooms, or instead of the spinach, arugula, whatever you like. But spinach and broccoli are pretty well known for everybody and easy to find. And I like heat, so I am gonna put my crushed red pepper flakes right on before I even get in the oven. And it just goes into your preheated oven. After about 8 to 12 minutes in the oven, that beautiful creation is what you will have. So this is an all veggie pizza. If you like, you can always add meat to it, whatever kind of sausage you like. But again, if you're trying to stick with your New Year's resolutions, you may want to stay away from that. Adding roasted chicken or even shrimp to this is delicious. And there's also something special that I do. I make a lentil sausage, which essentially is everything that you would put in an Italian sausage, except I substitute the meat with lentils that I've pureed in either my food processor or a blender. If I want to go all veggie but still crave the flavor of Italian sausage, that's a good option. Let me know if you want to see a video of that, and I can post that up soon. But here is our green pizza, ready to go. The #1 killer of New Year's resolution diets, I'm sure, is dessert. But you cannot have a dinner party without serving desserts. And if you're anything like me, you can sit there and eat chocolate all day, every day. So I'm gonna make a chocolate decadence cake that is almost flourless, but rich and gooey and so delicious you'll forget how few calories that it has. So this recipe has a few simple ingredients, but I won't lie to you, it does have a few steps. But when you take that first forkful, it doesn't even matter. It'll be totally worth it. So first up, we have 7 ounces of bittersweet chocolate. You can also use dark chocolate, but don't go down into milk chocolate or semi-sweet chocolate, only because darker chocolates are better for you, more antioxidants, less milk fat. So you want to stay into the darker chocolates. We have 2/3 of a cup of sugar and also 1/4 cup of sugar divided. I'm not sure how sugar substitutes work well with this. I just use the regular sugar in the raw. I know white sugar is not always the best for you, but I did go ahead and use it for this recipe. Back there I have a full cup of 2% milk. You can also use skim. There is 1/3 of a cup of cocoa powder, 3 egg whites, 2 egg yolks, 2 tablespoons of flour. You'll need salt, cream of tartar, and for this recipe you'll also need your mixer and boiling kettle of water, because we're going to put this in a water bath, and your cake pan. To get this recipe started, you're going to want to preheat your oven to 350 degrees. Get your water boiling in the kettle, because we're going to be using a water bath, and prepare your pan. Now this is a relatively deep pan, it's a couple of inches deep. You want the pan to be at least 1 inch or 2 deep, because again, it's going in a water bath. You don't want the water to flash in. So the deeper the pan, the better. This pan has been prepared with cooking spray and lined the bottom with parchment paper. If you don't have parchment paper, wax paper works just as well. We're gonna start by adding our chopped chocolate to a large bowl and putting in our chopped cocoa powder. In a heavy saucepan, I've already added my 2/3 of a cup of white sugar. And then I'm just gonna whisk in the flour and the 1/8 of a teaspoon of salt. Just enough milk to make this into a paste. And we're gonna turn on the heat. So basically we're just trying to get the sugar and flour and everything to dissolve. Make sure you're scraping out the sides. And you're gonna wanna whisk that until it's smooth. Once that's all smooth, go ahead and whisk in the rest of your milk. And we're gonna bring that up to a boil and boil that for 2 minutes. So now your sugar mixture is going to be thick and bubbly. And you just go ahead and pour that right over the chocolate mixture. And you just scrape the bottom of your pan. Make sure all that gets incorporated. So we're gonna whisk this together until it is smooth. Now, one thing I did forget to mention is that you do need vanilla with this recipe. So I'm gonna go ahead and get the vanilla out. So now you have this smooth, chocolatey paste that smells amazing, and you're gonna wanna be tempted to stop and eat this here, but trust me, keep going. And we're gonna just add in our 2 egg yolks. those stirred in. And a teaspoon of vanilla. So now once you got that incorporated, we're just gonna let this hang out and take care of our egg whites. To my mixer, I've already added my 3 egg whites. I'm going to add in 1/8 of a teaspoon of cream and tartar. And I'm gonna whisk this up until soft peaks start to form. After a couple of minutes, you'll see the peaks have started to form. And at this point, you're gonna wanna slowly add in your sugar, that remaining 1/4 cup of sugar. I'm gonna do it with the mixer on low. Get that stirred in. Now I've finished mixing. You want the egg whites to be stiff, but still glossy, not really dry. And you can see as I take this off that the peaks kind of hold. So that's what you want. So now we're gonna incorporate this. So we're just gonna take about 1/4 of our egg white mixture and I'm gonna mix it right in. So what I'm doing basically is loosening up this chocolate. So we're just loosening this up. So when I fold in the other egg whites, they're not gonna lose their volume because I have to stir really hard. Now you can see that's nice and loose. And I can go ahead and get more of my egg whites and fold those in. We're just gonna gently fold. And you wanna fold this till there are no more white streaks of egg white left. But be gentle with it because you wanna keep the air that you just whipped into those egg whites. So now this is all incorporated in one color. There's no more white streaks, except that little white streak that's on my spatula. There's no more white streaks in there. And you're just gonna retrieve your prepared pan. Make sure that parchment paper is down there and pour that right in. Now this is ready to go into the oven. You see I've put the pan with the batter into a larger baking dish, into a roasting pan. And then I'm going to pour in hot water. Now, ordinarily, I would put the baking pan in the oven already, pour the water in, and then put in my pan, or put the pan in and then pour my water in. So I'm not traveling across the kitchen with hot water, but just for demonstration purposes, I'm gonna do it on camera. So you just pour this in. It should go 1/3 to 1/2 of the way up the side of the pan. So then you would put this demonstration with the hot water in your 350-degree oven. And you're gonna bake until it's about crusty on top, and it's gonna take about 25 minutes, 20-25 minutes, depending on your oven, to finish cooking. Now that's spent about 45 minutes in the oven. I think I said 25 early, but it's around about 45 minutes. You'll know when it's done because the top will kind of crust over. And if you lightly press on it, it'll bounce back a little bit. But it's gonna be a very dense and gooey in the middle cake. So after that, let it cool. This actually hung out in the fridge overnight, so it's best to make this one ahead of time, so to have time to completely cool and chill. I like it served at room temperature, but it's nice and easy to get out the pan when it's pretty cold. So what you do is take either a butter knife or some form of spatula and make your way around the edges of the pan. You want to kind of loosen it from the pan. And then when you're done, get a piece of wax paper, get the plate you plan to serve this on, and we're gonna flip it onto the wax paper. And if you need to do this on the second plate, do it on the second plate. I'm pretty brave, so I'm gonna do it right into my hand. And I'm gonna pull off this wax paper, or this parchment paper from the bottom. Put my plate and flip it right over. Now, this can be garnished any way you want. Some candied fruit would be nice, some strawberries would be good, or really just some homemade whipped cream. If you whipped up some fresh whipped cream, it would be delicious on the top of this. I like it just like this. Sometimes I'll add powdered sugar, but we don't really need to add sugar because we're keeping to our New Year's resolutions. So I'm gonna serve it just like that. So when it comes time to serve this, I always recommend using a hot knife. So this is a knife that I had put in boiling water to make it hot. It'll give you a nice clean cut because it's almost the consistency of like a cheesecake. So you want to get a nice clean cut. So I use the paper towel to wipe it off. And I'm just gonna cut right down into there. See, nice and clean. Dip it back in the hot water, kind of melt it. I'm gonna get this second slice. And look at that. Really dense, really rich. A serving is a 12 of this cake. So it's not a lot, but it makes up for every bit of it in taste. It's really rich and really delicious. To recap, we started our meal with this creamy butternut squash soup that comes in at about 95 calories per serving, 2 slices of our pesto green pizza for 228 calories, and ended our meal with this indulgent chocolate decadence cake coming in at about 164 calories, giving this entire meal a grand total of 487 calories. So let me know what you think. If you try these recipes or you think they sound good, don't forget to comment below, like, and subscribe to Simply Lavish at Home. And remember that you can always follow me on Instagram, Facebook, and on Twitter, as well as visit my website, www.simplylavish.net. As always, thank you so much for watching. Till next time, here's to living simply lavishly. Cheers.